Native advertising is a relatively new advertising type. As such, the federal government in the US is still grappling with how to handle regulation. The FTC, for instance, has come in with regulation that helps us understand what is appropriate for native advertising and what is wrong. In a nutshell, sponsored content and native advertisements must be clearly labeled as such. In 2016, things reached a boiling point. Consumer watchdog groups were upset by the lack of standards in native content. Disclaimers were often missing, sponsorship labels were easy to miss, and at the end of the day, consumers were misled. In some cases, consumers didn't have a clear understanding that they were actually consuming sponsored content and native advertisements when they were doing so. The FTC emphasizes labels. All native content must be clearly labeled by the sponsor that is paying for the content. Moreover, while I'm not aware of any cases that have been brought up in this way, native advertising must also be clear in making sure that opinions are stated as such. It's okay to have opinions in native advertisements. However, they can't be listed as facts. Statements, by default, are truthful. Many have interpreted this as the FTC simply saying that sponsored content cannot blatantly lie. Now, the FTC stopped short of saying that all native advertisements need to be factual. Native ads can include the opinions of sponsors. That is, if the CEO of Chipotle thinks that plant-based meat alternatives are not healthy, he can in fact include that opinion in native content. He cannot, however, matter-of-factly state that it is bad without citing specific scientific evidence to back up such a claim. In this way, native advertisements can be journalistic in nature. They can also read like an op-ed in the New York Times. At the end of the day, the FTC says that it should be obvious to consumers when native advertising is not regular journalism. Premier publishers have treated this as an excuse to really vamp up the multimedia components of a native ad. In this case, we see an example for iPad Air. Content, the video, everything about it screams that it's not an article, even though when you click on it, some of the elements look like a New York Times article. This premier element really helps the advertisement stand out, but also gives it a journalistic story-like structure.